Okay, topic of this video is Trump's election, the night, the king. What did you want and what may you get? Now, today's date is November 8th, 2024. I'll be reading from notes going back and forth. I'm not any type of expert broadcaster, so you get what you get. And these are my opinions, thought. This is an opinion editorial piece, if you will. It's something I'm going to put out for people, and I'm going to tell why at the end. Why am I doing it? And so I'll leave it at that. Okay, now, everybody wanted, I'm going to start off with part of the theme here. And I'm no student of the Bible, but if I remember correctly, there was a situation in the Old Testament where the people, probably of Israel, kept going to God. We need a king. We want a king. We need a leader. Help us. Give us a king. You don't want a king. And I'm paraphrasing, roughly. So all you Bible scholars out there, just take it for what it is. God basically came back and said, you don't want a king. Because he'll marry off your daughters, he'll pollute your culture, he'll adulterate your culture, you'll get into wars, and you're just going to have all kinds of problems. Just stick to my plan and you'll be okay. No, we want a king. We need some help. We want a king. Okay, you want a king? Zap, you got one. And then history fails me on what happened, but all types of calamities befell them, because they didn't get the benevolent king they thought they were going to get. They got somewhat of a malevolent king. And the king just does whatever the king wants to do. And, so up go your taxes, off go your daughters, in come the oxen into the courtyard to be butchered. So, with that as a thought, with that as a basis, I'm going to go in to some of my observations and opinions of a little bit of the election, of the people that elected Trump, and what I think he can and can't do. Okay? So, let's just start off here. And I want to give this right up front. This isn't a hit piece on him. This is meant to be an honest observation. I voted for him. I voted in the last two elections for him, and I voted for him here. I would submit I know what I was voting for. Most of you people, most of the American people, didn't. Okay. Okay, a quick history that people forgotten about because they wanted this knight in shining armor and the king to cure all their ills. The states, the 50 states elect the president. Yeah, there's the popular vote, the Electoral College, but that was set up that the states are to elect the president. The president is the executive of the republic, or the federation, if you will, but of the republic. He is to work at the bequest of the states through the confines and mandates of the U.S. Constitution. And most people don't know that, or have forgotten it, or don't care. And I'll get into why they don't care later on here. So that's what the president's supposed to do. And you can look to history and how much George Washington didn't do. He wrote like 5 or 6 executive orders in his first term, or second term, not third, second term. He wrote very little. They didn't have to do much. Of course, it was a young country with 13 states. Okay, fine. The federation, or the federal government, is supposed to be the servant of the states. And that has flipped around now with the pyramid of taxation and a whole variety of laws that Congress has passed to usurp the state's authority and power. In particular, the amendment that took the took the appointment of U.S. senators away from the state legislatures and put it into the hands of the people. Closer to a democracy, the worst form of government. Okay. Executive orders dealing with the president. Now, I haven't spent a lot of time studying this, but I know, and I forget his name, there was a congressman we had up in Indianapolis, and there was a movement back in the 90s to rein that power in. The executive orders of the president are way out beyond the bounds that they're supposed to be. They were supposed to give the executive powers over, or, you know, the president powers over whatever branches were under his control. This is going to be a very gross example. Make sure all the lights are turned off before you go home. You can't talk, you State Department can't talk to Russia unless you come to me. And on and on and on. But that has gotten into a situation where law has been created through a presidential executive or directive, put in the National Registry, supposed to be there 90 days, and then if Congress doesn't overturn it, it becomes law. And that is not what it's for, and that is against the Constitution. But the presidents have been doing it at least since FDR and maybe before. So that is something everybody's looking for. They're looking for the king to make it right for them. And it doesn't matter if it was a Democrat or a Republican king, make it right for me. Make it help me by decree. Fuck the congressional process. Be my king. Be benevolent for me. And if you're mean to the other guy, I don't care. Okay? The president also now has the authority by fiat to wage war. We can see that. There's not been a declaration of war since World War II. Go look at all the conflicts we have been in. Go look at the tens and tens of thousands of men that have been killed. But it's not a war. It's just, it's just a military engagement. So the president can wage war now. So, and people, oh, please, king, go over there and defeat this evil enemy. Well, okay. Remember, God told the Israelites, you don't want that king. He'll get you into wars. And the people for many elections, but I would say this one in particular, Democrat and Republican, they wanted a king. You people that voted for him, you wanted a king because you wanted it all fixed. You just want him to wave the magic scepter and make it all happen. We're going to discuss that a little later. You're going to be sorely disappointed. Not because I think Trump's a bad person. Not because I don't think he doesn't give a damn. He's one man who's the president. He is not the king. He is not the emperor. And he does not have total control over everything. There's still a Congress and a Senate and powers way above these people on a global scale. International business interests, banking interests, the Illuminati, to give a name to it. People we don't even know about that push levers, pull buttons, and trip triggers. Okay. And I will admit a certain amount of ignorance. I don't know how much power the president can get away with now with the executive orders and his ability to do things in matters of state and give money away. I just see things that are done all the time that are unconstitutional. Where the hell does the president get the authority to give money away without, and maybe I'm misled here, without Congress giving an approval to give money away, and that's even unconstitutional. But that's another issue there. You can go back. Now, a variety of these things I'm going to say, I'm not going to substantiate. I'm going to state them as fact to the best of my memory and knowledge, and you go out and look and prove me wrong, or go out and get yourself educated. I'm not going to sit here and go, okay, footnote everything. I'd be here 5 hours, and then you still wouldn't believe me. And I also understand there won't be 5 people look at this, because this is not going to be a 10-minute video. It's going to be for the people that are, bored or really interested. So, let me continue. This is what I see the people that elected Trump, from what I can see. From what I can see on the interviews on YouTube, Twitter, Fox, comments on Facebook. Why did people vote for Trump? Well, they wanted somebody to fix everything. Fix it for me. It's really fucked up and I need somebody to fix it for me. Okay. What did they really want fixed? Well, the invasion on the borders, yeah. But that was really secondary. Because that isn't what I see on the comments now. We won, we won. Money. Money's what I see. Lower, everybody, a variety of people are saying lower interest rates, lower inflation, cheaper gasoline, money. And those things are important. Don't get me wrong. If you can't eat, things get real bad real quick. But it was all about money. Wasn't about, and the border, yeah, that's a problem. But that was secondary. It was about money. And yeah, all this corruption, let's get about, give me my paycheck first. So make sure my Social Security check keeps coming in. All of that kind of shit. Don't tell me the bulk of you people that voted for him voted because I love America. I want to keep America strong. No, you voted for your fucking paycheck. And you can lie to your friends, your family, your kids. But I've read it and I see it and I hear it. Everybody's worried about their pocketbook. And that is important because without a sound economy, America really doesn't exist. That's a whole nother issue of capitalism in a free market society, which you don't have either anymore. But anyway, what I see people wanted was money. Okay. And there was, I'm going to turn the page here. And as I said, there was very little conversation about our freedom. I got news for you. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have any freedom, it's worthless. Look back to COVID. How many people sat in $2 million homes that couldn't go down to the goddamn drugstore and get a package of aspirin unless they had a mask on their face or, were threatened with their job if they didn't take that biological experiment. And it was a biological experiment program. Okay, that's not the topic today. So you got your king. Now I'm going to back up here a little bit. And I don't know if it's in my notes later on. This is what I foresee. I foresee the enthusiasm and the rhetoric and the let's charge San Juan Hill and defeat them all attitude. I'm going to see that. I believe in my heart of hearts that's going to wane here. Yeah, he won. There's always the euphoria comes down. And okay, let's have a beer and settle down. Yeah, our team won. Okay, fine. Here's why I say that. During the 90s, during the Patriot Militia movement, there was a big swelling of people that saw what the Clinton administration was doing. And they rose up, did a variety of political things, formed groups to educate people and militia groups for their own personal constitutional militias, to their own personal defense and of their rights, liberties, and property, and on and on. And what happened when Bush got in? Well, the White Knight, the new king, the benevolent king, came in and all was bliss. We got rid of the tyrant king. We have a friendly king now. And the whole movement fell apart. Well, I got news for you. Go look at what the fuck he did. You just got a different kind of benevolent king. But I predict the same thing's going to happen here. People are not going to be as enthused about things, and they're not going to get behind doing what's right in government. Because it's basic human nature to be lazy, and the American people are pathetic with their sports beer and home delivery pizza. Okay, my comments there. But what you got, your king, this is the king that you got. Your king is not a constitutionalist. Not a strict constitutionalist. Oh, he'll wrap himself in the flag and talk about how he loved the First Amendment, Second Amendment, and all this. And the Fourth Amendment. No, he doesn't. He loves them when he can tug your heartstrings and it suits him. Time for a little break. Now, I've got two factual situations to give you. Why he is not a strict constitutionalist. And he's not much different than most politicians. They pull the Constitution out of the desk drawer, dust it off whenever they've got a point they want to make or a bill they want to get through, and right here, this is where we're allowed to do this. But most of the other time they could give two fucks about that document and their oath to it. But anyhow, Trump is a populist, and he's smart, and he knows he needed your vote. Now, both of these are going to deal when he was in office. Took an oath to the Constitution, was the chief executive, and did these two things. One, we'll deal with this one, the bump stock ban. If you don't know what it is, you're going to have to go out and look at it. Basically an appliance that will modify the firing rate of a rifle without violating any kind of National Firearms Act laws. Okay. ATF approved it. This guy made it. Went out there, sold who knows how many hundreds or millions of them, or a piece of junk, as far as I'm concerned, but all the laws were approved. He was allowed to do it, and then the ATF came back and goes, we changed our mind. Technology division said, no, all that approval we gave you, not approved anymore. And then there was court cases back and forth. Well, Trump settled it. And Trump settled it and signed an executive order outlawing them, or directing the ATF to outlaw them, whichever way you want to go. But he just kind of put the icing on the cake with that. So what did he do? He came out and violated not just the Second, but the Fourth Amendment. The Second and Fourth Amendment. Private property, Fourth Amendment. To be secure in your homes, papers, places, and effects. And the second because it dealt with an appliance to a long gun, rifle. Now that's since been overturned by the courts, but that's not the issue. He didn't look at it like, well, this is a constitutional thing. You know, he went to the NRA, and the NRA said it isn't that important. So to me, he was just sucking the NRA's dick. Ooh, is that a hard thing to say? I'll tell it to his face. Somebody clip that out and tell him. You tell Big Don to give me a call, and we'll get on Zoom, and I'll point out how he did that, and how he just got, they just pretty much had, they got him to suck their dick. That's the way I look at that. Why listen to those people? NRA is the largest anti-gun lobby in the United States anyhow, but that's another aside. So he violated the Constitution on 2 counts, Second and Fourth Amendment. And there was an uproar over it and all this, and and it was a political thing. It doesn't matter. Put that guy out of business. Now maybe he got back in business, but I'm all for small business. No, you're not, Don. Stroke somebody else's dick. Don't stroke Duncan Adams' dick. I know better. Now, are you that way across? Is Don that way across the board? No, but he was there. Why? Because he didn't read and follow the Constitution, use his own fucking head. He took the advice of the experts. Maybe a little more on that about the COVID-19 if I get time. All right, let's go into the second thing that he did. Now, I'm gonna give a disclaimer here. I hate to say it, I don't know if my back had been put up against the wall on this, if I might not have done the same thing. Probably not. But when COVID hit and all of the bullshit that happened and shutting the country down, got to wear masks, can't go to work, we got to do this. And what do? They come out with free money. They came out with that supplement plan. And we took it. There was money came right in this household, right goddamn here. And the wife was making more than if she went to work. Hey, it was great. With my understanding, it was about $1 trillion plus, is my understanding. I don't have the figure in front of me. Well, okay, yeah, we had this pandemic. We didn't. And about 2 to 4 weeks in it, I realized what was going on. So did thousands of other people in the medical and, just in all types of professions, medical, virologists, lawyers, doctors, all kinds of people. Wait a minute, that's all bullshit. But old Don, he was right there with it, listening to the experts. How many times did he get up there with Fauci? Fauci made him his bitch. You know, didn't look like it, but Fauci made him his bitch for a while, and then after a while, Fauci wasn't on stage with him. It took a while for Don to get wise to that. But anyway, everybody makes mistakes. But anyway, getting back to his unconstitutional actions. And it's been going on for decades, Congress handing out money. Nowhere in the U.S. Constitution does it authorize Congress to give away free money. Nowhere. And don't give me the general welfare clause. James Madison talked about that, and he wrote the damn Constitution. The general welfare clause deals with any specific powers granted to Congress, none that are silent. So they didn't have the authority to give it away, just like they don't have the authority to give away Social Security. Another story. So there's item number 2. So what did he do to do that? He just go in debt. Took money from your future to put a paycheck in your pocket. Now, I'll go on to him buying votes later. I hope it's in my notes dealing with that. At least 2 times. COVID-19 supplements, okay. Let me think real quick. Let me write this down before I get in there. I'm going to deal with that buying your vote. Sorry. Like I said, I'm not an expert, so I have to make notes and look at things as I go on. Try not to forget everything. Forgive me a little. A drink, some caffeine, and a little nicotine here. Okay. Now again, I'm going to look at my notes. And I think it fits in with this. I'm going to go into the buying your vote aspect before we get into his agenda. Because, buying your vote. Did he try to buy your vote? Absolutely. How? During this election, 2024 election, how did he try to buy it? Well, tried to buy it with your own money. He wanted to make you feel good. If you feel good, he's a populist. He wants your vote. He knows he needed all these people. Oh, dividing lines. Let me get that. That really should have been at the beginning, but I'll deal with this now. I'll probably go over it. How did he come out here and want to buy your vote? Well, we should get rid of taxes on waiters and waitresses' tips. Okay. And while we're at it, maybe we ought to quit taxing Social Security. Okay. So, tell me, where is the tax money going to come from? You've got to have X amount of money to run the government. Oh, I keep forgetting. He likes to go in debt $1 trillion at a time. What he was doing there was trying to make people feel good. Hey, if we do this and this, and in the hope, I submit the hope in the back of the minds of a bunch of people was, well, fuck. If he'll give them that, maybe he'll alleviate things for us. And down in the agenda here, he is talking about reducing the tax rate for corporations. Okay, fine. So, let me see. That'll be down there. So, he came out with promising you all this. Maybe he'll do it, maybe he can't. He can't. That's going to have to be rewritten in IRS code, unless, of course, he just writes an executive order and everybody just goes along with it. So, But the way it's supposed to be, that tax code's up there, and whether the tax code's legal or not is another whole issue. And there are those that have researched and says not, but it doesn't matter. It's in full force and effect. Just don't pay your income tax and see what the fuck happens to you. Unless you're real lucky about some people that never pay it and you get lost in the system and you're ahead of the game. So, now all politicians try to buy your vote with promises. False hope promises. Some of them come true, some don't. But it's all hope. You vote for me and hope for the best. Well, he was actually, I disrespected him for it. Well, we'll reduce these. I'll reduce them for you. Keeps telling everybody he's going to reduce it for him. Okay. Now, let me look at something here. I'm going to go back and touch on something that he didn't bring up, but he did a 3 years ago. Operation Warp Speed. Boy, he was proud of that. We got that inoculation pushed through real quick and we saved millions of lives. No, you didn't. You listened to more experts and didn't fucking think. And you didn't listen to the non-experts that had data out there. But if you go back, it's probably still out there, how he bragged on it. Operation Warp Speed. I helped save millions of lives. Now, to his credit, he didn't try to force anybody to take it. That was true. And it wasn't like, well, everybody's got to take it. No, it's there if you want it or you don't. But he bragged about how many people he saved. I got news for you. The insurance table actuaries are coming in literally from Germany, the state of Indiana, and other places. And people are dying. God, the goddamn shot's killing people. But that's an aside that a lot of people don't agree with. But the facts are out there. When insurance companies raise their rates, there's a reason. When they see actuary tables go into multiple sigma events, 200-year events, there's a reason. Most of the time it's like a war or something. Well, it was, but a different kind. Okay. So, he didn't brag about that through this. Why not? If he did such a fucking good job, he ought to brag about it, because I think he finally got told and wised up. Hey, there's a bunch of crippled and dead people out there, and there's a lot of disgruntled family members. You bring that up, you will not get their vote. And I submit that's why the fuck he didn't brag on it. Because the chickens came home to roost on that failed program of his. Okay. And I'm going to touch on this dividing line thing a little bit back. And I don't think I hit it that hard at the beginning. Trump won. But not by a resounding popular vote or electoral vote. We're going to assume the election was relatively honest. I'm just going to take that. I don't know it was. 2020 wasn't. All the information out there, I think, shows it. But let's just say this was, other than, the few votes, ballot boxes being stuffed here and there out in the country, let's say it was honest. Go back. There's a federal website out there. You can go back and look at the Electoral College vote history. All the way back, I think, all the way back to Washington. And you go back and look from now into like 1900s, he didn't win by that big a margin. They were all right around that. 40, 50 points, maybe 10 or 15. I tell you who had the big, from what I saw, and I didn't look at every one, but I looked at quite a few of them. I'll tell you the two people that had the big landslide victory, FDR and Reagan. They swept the country. I mean, I think FDR got all but 13. That was when we just had 48 states, and Reagan was something like that, 13, 15, 20. I mean, he took everything but like Minnesota and DC or some kind of shit like that. But they swept it. But Trump, it was pretty much average. It was, if you draw a graph, I bet it'd be pretty close to average. Now, with that being said, these dividing lines are still set up. If it was a fair election, and going by the popular vote, half the people don't believe in what Trump, didn't believe in Trump, or didn't like him, or like Kamala better. I wish Ron Paul had been running. I'd have voted for him. I wasn't going to vote Libertarians. They've gone off the rails on a variety of things. And I used to vote that way. But Trump wasn't the lesser of two evils. I just know he's not a white knight king. He's not the shining white knight. I know that. So anyway, let me see if I can get back on track and get this going. Let me have a drink, try to gather my thoughts here, look at my notes. So you've got half the country that doesn't believe in his philosophy. Or, and I shouldn't say that, not his philosophy, doesn't believe in wanting a constitutional republic. They may say they do, but they don't. They want what they want. And what they want is what you got. And if you have to suffer, live in squalor, or be homeless, or live in a camp, a bunch of those people don't care. So, those people are not going away. And I'm going to get into some other things, but okay, I'll kind of go into that. The deep state isn't going away. And I'll save that. Half the country doesn't like Trump, or there have been more people vote for him. And I'll touch on that lightly. We're not getting out of this. I could go on how I don't think the country will survive. Just let me throw 2 or 3 things out there to think about. Basically, 49% of the people, popular vote, said, no, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. Well, you know, and were they protest votes? Some of them. This woman was as crazy as a fucking bedbug. This woman doesn't have enough. She can't pour. She couldn't run a fucking self-propelled taco stand down at the Home Depot. Let alone however the hell she, well, you know, there's a lot of controversy on how she got where she was. You know, and the people voted for this. Now, I'm not saying I'm ready to put rose petals at the feet of Trump, but he is a pretty smart dude. He knows how to run business, and he knows how to negotiate, and he's nobody's fool, and he can hold his own probably in a poker game, i.e. the world stage, Putin, China, North Korea, whatever. You know, pick your poker game. If you put her up against these people, she'll fold like a pair of deuces. I mean, she's got nothing. You put 2 chips on the table and she'll fold with a straight flush. She wouldn't even know what the fuck a straight flush is, probably. So anyway, I kind of got off that. But there's a bunch of people that supported her and think like her. And these people aren't going away. And these people are probably going to make trouble. But that's all speculation going forward on what's going to happen in the country. And that's not really what I'm here about. So I'll touch on it, but not much. Okay. So, he didn't win by a landslide. He pretty much won on average. Go look for it yourself. I did. Now, let's deal with his agenda and the problems he's going to have with that. Or the problems I foresee that he's going to have. In no particular order, and I'm going to leave a lot of things out. There's going to be 101 things that won't be there. The border. I think he's going to get that nailed down there, or pretty close. He was getting toward it before. If Congress goes along with him, and let me preface this, anything he does, he's going to have Congress. Why? If nothing else, money. You got to have money to do this shit, or I should say debt, more debt. Now I'm going to deal with him and the debt here in a little bit. Let me make a note so I don't forget. Debt. Okay. He'll probably get the border locked down, or at least within reason. Immigration policy, I'm not going to get into that. That's all bullshit. You know, we got plenty in here. I'm not. That's more of a legal policy gig. You know, I'm not getting in that. I'm trying to get into the problems that we have. The major problems that we have. Okay. He talks like he's going to have the biggest illegal roundup in the history of the country, and he may. And just to refresh everybody, Eisenhower did that and deported allegedly 500,000, predominantly Mexicans. That was who came over. It was called Operation Wetback. Nobody has the balls to go Operation Wetback 2 or Operation Chink or Operation Raghead or any of that. Nobody's got any balls left in this country. And I'm going to tell you at the end why your country's going to fail. It's going one simple, and why these policies will fail. Make a note. So, let's say he gets out there and really does it. Now let's think about the logistics of this. Looking at my time here. Depending on what study you want to listen to, and I used to hear, they say 12 million, I think that's bullshit. Depends over what span of time you want to talk about. I've heard 20, and I still think it's more than that. I've heard upwards to 40 million people in here, but let's say that's half wrong. Let's say it's 20, and I don't think that's beyond the realm of possibility if you want to look back several years, including guys that got over during Trump's administration. You know, no fortress is perfect. You got 20 million people running around this country. Half of them you don't know where they're at. You may know their name if it's a real name. You don't have any idea where they're at. Yeah, some of them you do. Some of them showed up to court and most of them haven't. And you've got them running around. You've got husbands, wives, kids. You've got, I'm just going to state this as fact. You don't have to believe it, but I think there's enough evidence out there, so I'm going to state it as fact. You've got terrorist operatives, state-sponsored terrorist operatives from God knows where. Al-Qaeda, Hamas, Iran, North Korea, probably. China, for goddamn sure. You know, there's been ex-SEAL and Green Beret down at the Darien Gap literally watching them come over by the thousands. And one soldier can recognize another soldier, okay? But we've got all of that. And you've got your average family from wherever that, hey, I just, you know, can I get some free food? And I get that. But they're all a problem because they're not assimilating into the American culture and going through the process. And some of them are here on very evil and surreptitious reasons. So, where are they at? Where the hell are they at? They got an address on them? What are they doing? So they got addresses on 20 million people? Now then, let's go. Let's say they got an address on all of them. Every goddamn one. Every Chinaman that's over here that's, you know, a special forces operative. Or some old Chinaman that just wants to try to get over here and get an extra cup of noodles. Have you thought about the logistics for getting these people home? And I'm going to add a caveat before I forget. I don't think it'll be done. And that isn't just me talking. Go look up a gentleman by the name of Matt Bracken, an ex-U.S. Navy SEAL that fought in Bosnia-Herzegovina and has written a variety of novels on such things as this. And he's out there on YouTube. You go listen to him. Don't listen to me. Go listen to this guy that's seen this shit. He just kind of scoffed at the idea too. So I'll leave that alone. I use him as a backup, if you will. He's not going to get all these people out. Can he get half of them out? I don't know. How many is he going to get out? I don't know. But he's not going to get them all out. He ain't going to be able to find them. But will they pop up on the grid over time? Maybe. Let's say he gets 10 million out of here, out of 20. Will the other 10 million pop up over time? Maybe, but I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Now, this is my prediction thing. I don't like to do a lot of that. He starts deporting these people. The first thing is you just can't take them down to Tijuana, Nogales, or Douglas, Arizona, and dump them off, because they're not all Mexican. They're from all over the fucking globe. Haitians, Romanians, Chinese, Iranians, Saudi Arabia, shit, literally all around the world. You're just going to dump them off in Mexico? They ain't going to be happy about that. Maybe we could do it. So what do? So now you got to fly them home. I won't go into it much, but I had a friend who is now deceased that was a contractor for the U.S. Marshal Service. I got to get a drink. My head's draining here. I'm sorry. Now, I want to try and give you an idea of what they were fighting. When was Hostler doing this? Probably mid-2000s. Sorry, I'm fighting this, yeah. Anyhow, Hostler worked for the Marshal Service down in Phoenix, Arizona, and they flew out of Chandler, suburb of Phoenix, out of the airport there. It was basically Air America, the movie Air America, where they transport the prisoners around. He did a lot of that, but they also would fly down to Nicaragua or Mexico or wherever and dump people off, you know, illegal nationals. And he told about some of them were just up here trying to go. Anyhow, a lot of stories. Here's the point of it. I can't remember. He told me how many goddamn flights a day were being cycled out of, like, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 airports. And some of it was prisoner, you know, balancing the federal inmate prisoner load between, you know, the diesel therapy thing between prisons. But a bunch of it, they were going, he went down many a time, flying down Nicaragua. But, you know, there was one kid, this is a sad story, there was one kid that got brought up here by his parents, brought up here like when he was 5 or 6. Didn't know any Spanish. You know, been an American really his whole life. I think he got popped on a couple, I think he got into some hot check problems. I mean, it wasn't like he murdered or raped anybody. It was a white collar crime, and they caught up with him. And they deported him. He got dumped off, I think it was either in Mexico or Nicaragua. I think it was Nicaragua. No family, no friends, no money, no nothing, could not even speak Spanish. Sad, tragic. But this is the shit that's going to happen. And when those cases come up, I'm glad I brought that up. When those cases come up, whoever the hell that doesn't want to see this go on for whatever reasons of destruction of this country, or they've just got the philosophy of we need to be God's chosen people type shit and help everybody, you're going to have lawsuits. And you're gonna have kickback and lawsuits and petitions to your congressman and this, that, and do not be, they're gonna tie Trump up in court on some of this, I think. And do not be surprised before this is over with that in one form or another, conditionally or proportionally or however you want to do the math table, there's going to be an amnesty. That's my prediction. They're going to give amnesty to a bunch of these people because they can't get rid of them and it solves a political problem. Well, they're all Americans now. They've been here for 5 years, they're all American. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Don't forget Reagan did that shit too. And he won by a goddamn landslide. He really did. I think he took all but 13 electorals or something like that. So look for the lawsuits to stop the exodus, and look for the government to get pushed in a corner, and for Trump or maybe his predecessor to say, we're just going to give amnesty and this problem all goes away. Because don't remember, politicians like two things: an easy life and your vote, and they love to be expedient. Okay, I think I belabored that, what I really wanted to do. Taxes, he was buying your vote, I said that. Tariffs and import duties, I think this is pretty cool. If he can bring production back to America, people are going to rail against that, but they ain't going to be able to do much. So I think that's a good thing, and I think that can help. I think that can help America. There's going to be a lot of pain involved, but it can help. I'll take that back. There's going to be some pain involved, but it'll be a lag time before you get production going back here. Now let me deal with that. 4 years. Only. How's my time? Nah, nobody's going to listen. I'm going to keep going with it. Tariffs, import tax, regulations. To my understanding, there's about 450 regulatory agencies in the federal government. There's at least 400, and I think 450. Now, he says he wants to rein that in. Now, my understanding was he did rein in a bunch of them. He ain't going to be able to get them all in. Now, I'm not smart enough to know all this, but there's a variety of laws and unions out there that keep you from going in and just cleaning house and gutting it. Now, there's some mumbling out there. Once again, the Department of Education, I think that'd be great. That's a great start. There's at least another 200 agencies that just need to fucking go away. Leave our Fourth Amendment rights alone. But he's not going to get this done. Remember, he was up there the first time and didn't get it done. Now, will he get impeached and stuff like that again? I look for a lot of blowback. These, like I said, 48% of the people, and logic would dictate 48% of the swamp of the bureaucracy probably didn't vote for him either. Maybe more than that, if you think about it. They want things to go on. They want raises and less. They want more money and less work, and they want to justify their job. Oh, ain't I cool? And what's that mean? It means more burden for you to justify their job. Okay, school choice. He's there for school choice. Well, you know, here's another I'm going to buy your vote bullshit. Now, can they come out and give you tax breaks and do this and that? And can they come out and give free money they're not authorized to? Sure. But here's the bottom line gig. There are no federal schools other than the schools up on the Indian Territory. All these schools are at the county level. I live in Brown County. Brown County School Corporation. That's another whole issue. These are incorporated schools at the county level. He doesn't have any authority over them. And they're within the state, the sovereign state of Ohio, Iowa, Kentucky, Indiana. He doesn't have any control over that shit. Now, can they give free money away if you prove? I don't know. So, but he's all for school choice. That's a state issue, just like abortion is. Now, I'll touch on abortion. They can pass laws and this, that, and the other, and they're unconstitutional. Supreme Court made a good decision. It's a state's issue. whether you like it or not. And I'm going to say this to the people that we've got to protect the children. Well, I don't agree with killing babies either. But let me tell you something. You people get so fucking worked up over that. Yeah, it's sad and it's tragic, it's horrible, and yes, I've seen the pictures. Hell, I've helped butcher deer. It ain't much different, and that's not meant to be callous, but it's sad what they do to these young children. But if you don't get off your ass and get this country fixed, you're not going to be able to argue about abortion. Because you're not going to be able to argue about anything. So take your energy off of that and get the country straightened out. Okay, fine. Taxes. Let's deal with taxes. He's wanting to reduce tax rate and this, that, and the other. Okay, fine, great. And yeah, they have proven you reduce taxes to get back. Here's the problem. We keep going into debt every year. It's you can see the graphs. It's monumental, and he helped do it. He wasn't the savior. And to my knowledge, here's the gig. Okay, we want to reduce these taxes. Okay, great. You got to reduce the debt. You got to pay the debt off. If you don't get this debt paid off, and this country goes under, you can read it out there. What makes America great? Our economy is one of them. Our constitutional republic in conjunction with a capitalistic form of society that allows us to make money and have productive lives and be happy. Middle class. That's disappearing. Another issue. He wants to reduce all these taxes. Okay, fine. How are you going to reduce the spending? Now, if he can come out and do it, then here's the thing. And maybe I missed it. And I didn't watch all these rallies, and I haven't read all of his websites. Let me adjust things here. Beg your pardon. Let me get centered here again. You'd be surprised what it takes to run a cheap production like this. You got $35 trillion worth of debt. And there's really more than that. And I could go into how there's another $23 trillion they found off books back in like 2002. But you've got that and all the unfunded mandates. If you don't get this paid off, and the interest is, I think, approaching 30% of our revenues coming in, just to pay the fucking interest. I can be an error on that, but it's creeping up there. You don't reduce this deficit and this, we aren't going to have a country. The dollar fails, it could be cataclysmic. Now, there's all kinds of ways to cure that. You quit spending so much, you may have to keep taxes up the way they are, you may have to increase taxes and blah, 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 blah. Or you can default on it all. Ooh, that gets nasty. So part of the question is, are the American people, this is where I'm going, and you aren't, because you want more money. That's why you hired the king. Lower interest, lower inflation, bigger paycheck, cheaper gasoline. That's why you hired him. Are you willing to give up your agriculture subsidies? Are you willing to give up your Pell grants? Are you willing to take a 50% cut on your Social Security, and maybe you have to bring your parents back into your home like they did in the 40s, where three generations lived in the same, and on and on and on. I got an answer for all of you. No, you don't want to. You want more. You don't want to give up anything. So, what will be the end result there? I've got my opinion. You draw yours up. Nothing he has said, not one, to my knowledge, not one goddamn thing about reducing the debt. Not one goddamn thing. Talk about putting more money in your pocket, which will invariably might bring taxes up, but it's probably going to increase the debt. Because if you don't have a revenue coming in, you're still spending as much. Do the math. Well, anyway, that's the problem I see. He hasn't addressed it. Maybe he's got some plans for it and want to leave it alone just to, that way to, give you people mental, give some mental masturbation out there for you people to get him voted in. Here's the other thing about him being a king. Should have brought this up the other. Let's say he does everything fantastically. Starts getting the debt down, the deficit down, gets the Koreans hauled out of here. The Chinese are on the run. On the world stage where there's peace and harmony, there's not so many wars, and Putin and we end up being trading partners with Putin and all that. So let's just say we get a utopia. But a bunch of it's going to be because of him and because of his executive orders. He's only in there for 4 years. And the son of a bitch can die. He's old. He's older than me. Hell, I can die at the end of this thing. So the rhetorical question begs, how much can you get done in 4 years, even if Congress is pulling behind you? Not enough to bring you back to the 1950s. You think you're going to the 1950s? You're a fucking idiot. You think you can get back to the 1970s, and I'll tell you why at the end of this, why you can't. Or why you won't, probably. You can, but you won't. You know, it's just not going to happen. We've got almost literally 100 years of bullshit with our debt and problems on the world stage and in this country. And 400 plus agencies writing regulations to keep you from opening a business or being able to. I can't even buy a wood furnace anymore because of the EPA. That's a whole nother story. Not a wood stove, a wood furnace. Or if I do, it's much smaller and it's literally 3 times what it was. That's an example. So you think he's going to get it done in 4 years? You think your king's going to get this done in 4 years? The only person to get it done in 4 years is Jesus Christ. And the last I heard, he ain't down here yet. Okay? So you just keep believing that. And then, well, we got J.D. Vance. He'll come in, maybe. Maybe he'll get burned out. Maybe they'll kill him. Or maybe they'll rig the next election. These people are very patient. Very, very patient people. They're not afraid to wait another 4 or 8 years to be able to lock this country down. That's just my thought. You think you're going to get this turned around in 4 years? You're, as my saintly mother once said, you can shit in one hand, wish in the other. Because it ain't going to happen. I don't care who it is, other than Jesus Christ. And who's going to fight him? Okay, the 48%. I talked about that. The people that believe in destroying this country or wanting it all for themselves and want to see at the table for themselves. Let me check my notes. The debt. I touched on that. Who will fight him? Okay, who will fight him? The 48%. There's going to be some rhinos up there that are going to fight him. The Democrats are going to fight him. The people that hate him are going to fight him. There's going to be all kinds of world interests, banking interests. If it doesn't suit their interest, and okay, yes, the conspiratorial thing. You don't have to. There's a variety of people with like interests that never talk, but they have the same common goal and they move toward that. There are principalities out there that we have no comprehension of on the world stage, above and beyond. And who are they? They are all the multinational interests, the banking, the real estate interests, utility companies, and on in military, industrial, pharmaceutical, all these interests. They don't necessarily get together in a star chamber, but they all have like interests and they start doing things in the same direction. It's just the way things work. Business banking, okay. And there's going to be communists in the bureaucracy. MacArthur was right. There was all kinds of communists. We got them now. There's people that ran on this ticket that were communists. Kamala Harris is a communist. A bunch of other Democrats are too. Most of them ain't smart enough to know it. They are. Okay. And again, people that hate him. And I brought up the lawsuits. And don't be surprised. I'll touch on this. If anything bad for Trump is good for them. That's just their philosophy. Even if it doesn't get their goal, anything bad for them is good for them, and it gives them a hard on. We showed him. We made it rough for him. We impeached him. Look for, and this is an aside, violent upheaval, either from within or from without, is not off the table while he's there. And not caused by him, but because he's there, they'll do it to fight him. Okay. And there's just people that are critical of Trump that are not, people that are critical of Trump that are not of the communist or socialist ilk. And I'm going to give 4 names here. And I think about you, and if you read and you listen to them, they've got some good points, better than what I've made. Now, I'm not saying Trump's Trump's not the spawn of Satan, but he's not everything he purports himself to be either. If he gets pushed in a corner, he's an authoritarian. And as I pointed out, he's violated the Constitution at least on 2 points. Okay? That did not have to be done. I can appreciate you're put into a corner. What do? I got to violate the Constitution to save this person's life. Okay, fine. gray area, and generally you can come out of that. But let me give these people. First one's Carl Denninger. And I may put their names on the notes and everything. He is, he's an inventor, I think some software, probably around my age, pretty smart dude. I think he was a futures trader, and he's got a blog. And you can go back there and look at his criticism, and they, you know, and he's not, I hate Trump because I hate Trump. No, he'll point things out that, hey, this is what this guy said, and this is what he did, and this is what he said he's going to do. And, you know, then when he got elected in 2016, he talked about how he erased his website the next day, and all those agenda points just went away into the ether. That was interesting. Another person, Chuck Baldwin's a minister, has been 40, 50 years. He deals more with the Israeli thing, but he's critical of Trump too. Okay? Somebody else to listen to. Is he right? Is he wrong? Think. That's what I'm going to. I don't expect you people to agree with me, but if I can get you to think a little bit. Because the problems that are coming in this country, in my opinion, you have no comprehension of. Like Dad told me, he went through the Great Depression, Normandy Beach, D-Day +6, got shot at by Hitler. He told me once as a kid, he said, "Old buddy, you don't know how bad things can get." And he told me about how he lived through the Depression, and he's right. The next one is Gerald Celente. He runs the Transforecast publication journal. Pretty smart dude, been around. He's done some historically very accurate predictions, and he said he hasn't voted for anybody since Ron Paul. And he's more of a purist than I am now, because he's looking at pure constitutionalism, I believe. Then the last one is Ron Paul. I think he's been critical some, but I don't know a lot, so I'm kind of putting him on the bubble list there. But these are 4 people that are good, solid, American, constitutionally God-fearing people that have said, now you need to look at this guy. You know, I understand what you're getting. My words, not theirs. Now, why did I do this? Well, a little bit of fun, and also, I guess just a little bit of fun more than anything else, and a certain amount of arrogance. Because I admit I'm putting myself on the moral high ground. Because I'm coming out and, well, you know, we didn't know this and this. I talked about it. At least I said something. You know, I'm not watching college football, beating my meat to porno. You know, we've got these problems are out here. Can Trump solve a bunch of them? Yeah. Is he going to create some? I think so. I think so. Will there be more good than bad? I hope so. But I don't know. But the thing is, the American people, by and large, don't even know who the fuck they're voting for. Most of them don't even know what the fuck they're doing. Hell, how many of you people that may have this, have you ever even read the Constitution? Okay. Certain amount of arrogance, and you've been warned. Now, I told you why, in my opinion, I'm going to be a little dramatic here. I told you why, I had a reason why you're going to keep taking the subsidies. You're not going to suffer. You're not going to do what's right. You're not going to say, okay, we got to go without. And there's an element of this of pure survival. You know, if you come out and ask all the Social Security recipients to give up half of their pay, well, they may not be able to survive, and they're going to have to say no. I understand that. You know, it's kind of like, okay, we got 5 people too many on the lifeboat. It's starting to sink. Which 5 of you are going to throw yourself overboard for the other people? It's real hard to get human nature, you know, a big sacrifice like that, and human nature comes into play. I get that. But with that being said, you're not going back to the 50s. You're not even going to go back to the 70s. And here's the real main reason. Not going to like it. It's real simple. It's a real simple answer, but very complex to do. The American people at large lack virtue. The virtue to do right. To tell the truth. To say no when there's a handout when it shouldn't be given. To get involved in the political system. To demand things be done. Americans will step up, but generally it's too little too late. You know, it's our nature. Most people really don't care about the problems out there, i.e. illegal invasion called immigration, until there's a Haitian that takes a shit on their welcome mat on the front porch. Now we have a problem. Before then, it was just a statistic on Fox or ABC News. So the reason my prediction, the reason things aren't going to get better, the reason that things are going to continue to get worse, up to and possibly including this country even losing part of its borders, or maybe even the country being conquered. Real simple. Lack of virtue. Thanks for listening if you did. I had fun. I know it ain't going to do a nickel's worth of good. I do hope you have a good and productive life. I hope that I hope America comes out of it. I'd love for it to come out of it. I also give this prediction: it won't unless a bunch of people die through discourse, whatever you want to call it. Civil war, internal strife, being invaded from an outside force. We just aren't going to learn the lesson unless a bunch of people die, i.e. Civil War 2.0 or something to that nature. It's just, they're just so much against it. Oh, I do want to say this. I'm going to have to PS it. Lack of virtue thing. I forgot this. There's a reason 48%. You know, lack of virtue, if you will. There's another reason. Two big reasons why this country's in the shape it is. Go out and research a guy called Yuri Bezmenov. He gave an interview in the 80s, and he was an ex-KGB agent that defected over here, and he was involved in psychological operations in taking down foreign governments, Cuba, Nicaragua, and some others. And to cut through the meat and the chaff, he said, we got into the educational institutions and injected and conditioned the professors and injected communism into it. He said, in the country we went into, if we could get 2 generations of kids educated, we had the country. That was in the 80s. He was telling us, saying, you got to get a hold on it. I submit it's been from the 60s. 60 to 80 to 2000 to 2020. I submit we have 3 generations. I don't think we can overcome it. Now, these things can be overcome, and as a side note, Matt Bracken, who's a student of history, talked about Brazil went through something like this. And they had a revolution, or a civil war, I should say. And he said they prevailed. They got their country back. It took 40 years. American people don't have stomach for that. Okay, the second reason, you got to go look it up. It's real. It's out there. It's still used today. It's called MK Ultra. It's a mind control program. Power of suggestion, to be simplistic. You guys can roll your eyes at this, but this is why these things are happening. People have been conditioned, and I submit part of the conditioning is that they've been conditioned not to be virtuous and to leave that behind. So, now I'll close it off with that. Thanks. I hope you get to keep your country. If you're a Trump supporter, yay raw for you. Your team won. If you're not a Trump supporter, well, chances are in 4 years you're going to be a winner anyhow, because, you know, I know you people aren't going away. Have a good life. Thank you for listening.